There are certain cases that leave a lasting mark on the public consciousness, not only because of their tragedy, but because of the unanswered questions that remain long after the events have unfolded. This is one such case. It begins during the holiday season in a quiet Colorado community where homes were decorated with lights and families gathered to celebrate. Within that setting, an incident occurred that would shock the nation, reshape the portrayal of crime involving children in the media, and continue to raise questions for decades. This is the story of a 6-year-old child whose life was cut short inside her own home. A case that began with a distressing, handwritten ransom note and unfolded into one of the most intensely scrutinized investigations in modern American history. It is a case remembered not just for its tragic nature, but for the complexity, controversy, and lack of resolution that still surrounds it. On December 26, 1996, authorities in Boulder, Colorado were called to a residence after parents reported their daughter missing. The discovery that followed would lead to an investigation involving local police, state authorities, and outside experts. The case drew worldwide attention, and over time, narratives would form, shift, and collide as media, public opinion, and official investigations attempted to make sense of what had taken place. For exploring the investigation, the key events, and the legacy of this case, it is important to understand the setting in which it unfolded, the people at the center of it, and the environment that shaped the early stages of the response. The child at the heart of this case was known for her involvement in child beauty pageants, and her family was well known within their community. The family resided in Boulder, a city recognized for its scenic surroundings, affluent neighborhoods, and a reputation for safety. The area was not commonly associated with violent crime, particularly crimes involving children. As a result, the news of what had taken place did not align with public expectations of the area, contributing to the intensity of the reaction that followed. The victim in this case was a young girl who lived with her parents and her older brother in a large family home in Boulder, Colorado. She was often described as a bright and energetic child, known in part for her participation in child beauty pageants. These pageants brought her visibility through local competitions and community events, making her a familiar face beyond her immediate surroundings. Her involvement in these events later became a major point of media focus once the case became public. The child lived with her family in an upscale neighborhood. Boulder, located at the foothills of the Rocky Mountains, was known for its university, outdoor lifestyle, high standard of living, and a strong sense of community. In the mid-1990s, Boulder was often considered a safe and stable environment, with lower crime rates when compared to national averages. Violent crime, particularly those involving children, was relatively rare in the area. The child's parents were active members of the community. Her father held a prominent role in a business, and her mother had a background in pageantry and maintained involvement in social and community events. The family's lifestyle, home, and social presence placed them among Boulder's more visible residents. During this period, the country was experiencing a growing media interest in high-profile criminal cases, and televised news was expanding coverage of stories that captured national attention. The rise of 24-hour news networks contributed to increased public exposure to cases involving children. The mid-1990s also marked a period before social media, meaning that traditional broadcast and print journalism had significant influence in shaping public understanding of events. As Christmas of 1996 approached, the family, like many others, prepared for holiday celebrations. Festive gatherings, gift exchanges, and family traditions were part of their seasonal activities. The days leading up to the incident were described as filled with routine holiday events. Nothing publicly known from that time suggested an imminent tragedy. On December 25, 1996, Christmas Day, the family spent time celebrating the holiday with their children. They hosted or attended gatherings and exchanged gifts as part of their seasonal traditions. The evening continued with activities typical of the holiday period. As the night progressed, the family eventually returned to their home. The child was put to bed in her home that night. The family settled in after what had been a busy day of Christmas festivities. Nothing publicly known from that night suggested that anything unusual had occurred inside the home before they went to sleep. During the early morning hours of December 26th, events unfolded that would become the basis of one of the most discussed criminal cases in the United States. According to the parents, they awoke to begin their day and soon discovered a handwritten note inside the home. The note stated that their daughter had been taken and demanded a specific sum of money. It indicated that the child had been kidnapped and provided instructions regarding how to respond. The discovery of the note prompted fear and urgency. The parents made a call to law enforcement to report that their daughter was missing. This call took place early that morning. This moment marked the beginning of what would become a lengthy and complex investigation. Police officers arrived at the residence shortly after the call was made. Upon arrival, they began to assess the situation. The note found inside the home indicated that the child had been abducted and provided directions, warning against contacting authorities. Despite this, the call had already been made, as the family's immediate reaction was to seek help. The initial police response to the scene marked a critical stage in the case. Responding officers began their work inside the residence. Family, friends, and associates arrived as well, showing support for the parents. People moved around inside the home during this early period. The environment was emotional and tense as those present attempted to understand what had happened and awaited instructions or updates. Authorities conducted a search of the home, although the early approach to the scene would later become a subject of discussion. As the morning progressed, more officers arrived, and the residence was treated as a location from which a child had allegedly been abducted. During this time, instructions from the note suggested that any contact with the authorities could jeopardize the child's safety. Despite the warnings in the note, law enforcement remained active at the scene. Hours passed with no indication of a communication from a supposed kidnapper. The family, law enforcement, and those present waited for further developments. By late morning approaching midday, a police officer at the scene instructed the child's father and a close associate to conduct a search of the home to check for anything that might have been overlooked. This was intended to ensure no part of the house had been missed and to look for any sign of forced entry, hidden evidence, or changes inside the residence. The search led to a discovery that shifted the nature of the investigation entirely. In a basement room of the house, the father found the body of the child. The location was a small room in the lower level of the home. The child was brought upstairs and placed on the floor. Attempts at aiding the child occurred, though it was clear the child was no longer alive. Authorities then transitioned from what had been treated as a kidnapping to what was now a homicide investigation within the home. At this point, the police expanded their response, and additional officers and medical personnel became involved. The house now became the center of an active investigation into the death of a child, with immediate questions raised regarding what had taken place inside the residence between Christmas night and the morning after. The discovery of the body inside the home marked a major turning point in the case, and what had initially been reported as a possible abduction was now confirmed as a homicide. The situation required a shift in the investigative approach and an urgent need to secure the scene. The early hours that followed shaped the direction of the investigation, public perception, and actions taken by authorities. The transition from a suspected kidnapping to a homicide investigation required a rapid reassessment of priorities, procedures, and evidence handling. Law enforcement now needed to determine how the child had died, who had been involved, and what sequence of events had led to the tragedy. The home, which had not been fully secured as a potential crime scene from the beginning of the day, now contained a range of people who had entered rooms, touched surfaces, and moved through areas that would later be considered significant. This early stage of the response would become one of the most examined aspects of the way in the years that followed. Emergency responders officially confirmed the child's death. The home remained the focal point of the investigation throughout the day. Officers began gathering information from the parents, family, friends, and anyone who had been present inside the house. The circumstances surrounding the kidnapping note, the discovery of the body, and the time between those events were of immediate interest. The investigation in the early hours and days sought to clarify a timeline based on the family's account, the location of the note, and the discovery of the child. Officers worked to identify potential entry points to the house, any signs of forced entry, and any unusual findings that could indicate how someone might have gained access. It was necessary to determine whether the perpetrator had entered the home from outside or if the events had occurred within the residence without outside involvement. Forensic specialists and investigators worked to secure physical evidence. This included items found near the body and in the surrounding areas of the home. The ransom note itself became a significant piece of evidence due to its content, length, and potential for forensic and handwriting analysis. Other physical elements found near the victim were collected and examined as part of the early forensic efforts. In the days that followed, an autopsy was conducted to determine the cause and manner of death. The findings indicated that the child had sustained both head trauma and evidence consistent with strangulation. These findings confirmed that the death was a homicide. The autopsy details became central to investigative theories and would later contribute to discussions among experts, investigators, and the public. Key evidence and forensic findings played an important role in shaping investigative directions. The ransom note was notably lengthy for such a situation and contained specific financial demands. The language, phrasing, and tone of the note drew considerable attention from both investigators and later analysts. The paper, pen, and physical characteristics of the note were examined to determine if the materials originated from within the home or were brought in by someone from outside. The location in which the child was found, a basement room, sometimes referred to as a wine cellar or storage room, raised questions about who had access to the area and whether the person responsible was familiar with the layout of the house. The basement had multiple points of access, and investigators considered the possibility of entry through basement windows or other access points. Law enforcement evaluated the condition of potential entry points to determine whether an intruder had been present. DNA testing was conducted on physical evidence. At the time, forensic science was less advanced than it would become in later decades. Initial DNA findings generated discussion, and later advancements in forensic technology continued to inform the interpretation of the results. Investigators worked with forensic laboratories to compare DNA samples that had been collected. As the investigation progressed, law enforcement sought assistance from outside agencies and experts when needed. The complexity of the case, combined with challenges in the early preservation of the crime scene, led authorities to supplement local resources with specialized expertise. The case drew national attention, and experts in forensic analysis, handwriting evaluation, and criminal profiling became involved in reviewing elements of the evidence. The ransom note was analyzed by handwriting specialists. The note's length, structure, and composition were unusual for a kidnapping scenario. Analysts examined the handwriting for characteristics that could suggest whether it was written under stress, staged, or reflective of particular writing habits. Despite analyses, no firm conclusion was reached that could definitively identify the author. Over time, the relationship between the local police department and the district attorney's office was tested, as interpretations of evidence and investigative focus sometimes differed. The case involved balancing investigative leads, forensic results, and the public pressure that intensified as media coverage expanded. Differing views among professionals involved occasionally influenced the direction and public communication of the investigation. The involvement of external consultants, including federal authorities, added further layers to the case. Profilers reviewed available evidence to consider potential behavioral patterns that might be associated with the crime. Considerations included whether the perpetrator could have been someone with prior knowledge of the family and the home, or whether this could have been an act committed by an intruder with no personal connection. As time passed, public interest continued to grow. The family's public statements, interviews, and appearances drew significant attention. The child's parents participated in interviews in an effort to address public perception and to encourage the pursuit of the person responsible. These appearances sometimes influenced public opinion and raised questions among viewers about interpretations of the family's behavior. The investigation extended for months and then years, with periodic developments and reviews of evidence. As forensic science advanced, new testing methods were applied to previously collected evidence. These efforts aimed to resolve unanswered questions and to clarify the significance of physical evidence. Despite extensive review, the case remained without a definitive resolution. Investigative focus shifted at various times, with different theories gaining attention. Some investigations concentrated on the possibility of an intruder, while others focused on individuals connected to the household. Public discourse often reflected these varied perspectives, and the case continued to generate discussion among professionals, journalists, and the general public. Throughout the investigation, authorities examined potential persons of interest. It is important to clarify that there have been no criminal convictions in this case. All discussions of individuals who were examined or publicly associated with the investigative attention must be approached with caution, neutrality, and recognition that no legal determination of guilt has been made. Law enforcement examined the child's immediate family as part of standard investigative procedure in cases involving a child death within a household. This is consistent with investigative protocol, which requires evaluating the individuals with direct access to the location of the incident. Public attention heightened this aspect of the investigation, and media coverage frequently discussed the family's involvement, despite the absence of charges. Investigators also explored the possibility of an intruder entering the home. This theory considered whether a person unknown to the family could have gained access, stayed inside the residence, written the ransom note, and committed the crime. The feasibility of this scenario became the subject of expert analysis, considering the layout of the home, timing, and available forensic findings. As years passed, law enforcement continued to review potential leads and persons of interest. Some individuals outside the family were examined due to proximity, behavior, or alleged statements. In each instance, assessments were limited by available evidence, and no charges ultimately resulted. Public speculation also identified a range of unofficial persons of interest, often influenced by media theories or commentary. It is important to note that unofficial claims are not part of verified investigative conclusions and should not be treated as established facts. Responsible review of the case requires distinguishing between documented investigative activity and speculation driven by external commentary. The case rapidly expanded beyond a local investigation and became a national and international media story. The circumstances surrounding the child's death, combined with the unusual elements of the ransom note in the setting, attracted widespread coverage. News outlets provided frequent updates, commentary, and panel discussions. The family, the investigation, and various theories were often the focus of headlines and televised segments. Media reporting ranged from factual coverage of official developments to more speculative presentations. The story appeared across traditional news broadcasts, print outlets, and later online platforms. Public interest in the case led to documentaries, televised specials, and ongoing reporting. Some coverage included analysis from legal experts, former law enforcement officials, and commentators familiar with criminal investigations. Press conferences were held at various stages of the investigation. Officials used these opportunities to communicate developments, request public assistance, or address public concern. The family also participated in media interviews. These appearances were intended to address the public directly, to encourage the search for the truth, and to express their position. Public reaction reflected a wide range of perspectives. Some members of the public expressed sympathy and support for the family, while others speculated about possible involvement of individuals connected to the household. The case became a frequent topic of discussion, with opinions shaped by media narratives, commentary, and evolving interpretations of the evidence. In addition to traditional news coverage, the case influenced broader discussions about media treatment of high-profile crimes, particularly those involving children. Commentators examined the impact of intense media scrutiny on investigations, families, and public perception. Questions emerged about the balance between responsible reporting and sensational coverage. The level of media attention also affected the investigation itself. Law enforcement faced public pressure to produce answers, and media commentary sometimes influenced the direction of public expectations. The case highlighted the challenges of conducting a complex investigation under widespread public observation. Officials had to manage the release of information carefully to avoid compromising investigative work. As years passed, the case continued to receive periodic attention in news reports and documentaries. Anniversaries of the incident, developments in forensic science, or public statements from those involved often renewed media discussion. The case remained a reference point in dialogue about unsolved crimes and the role of media in shaping public understanding. Several legal processes occurred in connection with the case. While no one was charged with the crime, various legal actions, inquiries, and reviews influenced the public record and understanding of investigative activity. Early in the investigation, legal authorities convened a grand jury to review evidence. Grand jury proceedings are confidential, and therefore detailed public information about discussions or deliberations is limited. However, the grand jury process represented a formal legal step in evaluating evidence and potential charges. In later years, legal actions related to reporting, media statements, and public commentary occurred. Some individuals filed defamation lawsuits in response to media claims or statements by commentators. Outcomes of these cases varied, with some resulting in settlements or legal conclusions addressing the accuracy of published or broadcast claims. These legal proceedings underscored the lasting impact of public commentary on individuals associated with the case. Authorities conducted periodic reviews of the case as forensic science evolved. New testing methods allowed for re-examination of evidence that had previously been analyzed using earlier technology. These reviews aimed to clarify the significance of physical evidence and to determine whether new information could emerge that might assist in identifying the person responsible. Despite these efforts, the case remains unsolved. The legal status has not changed, no person has been charged, and no criminal trial has taken place in connection with the homicide. The absence of a legal resolution contributes to ongoing interest and discussion. The case continues to prompt questions among the public, experts, and investigative professionals. While significant evidence has been examined, critical aspects remain unresolved. This includes the exact sequence of events on the night of the incident, the identity of the person responsible, and the circumstances that led to the creation of the ransom note. Various interpretations of the evidence have been presented over time. Some focus on the possibility of an intruder, citing physical evidence and potential access points. Others consider scenarios involving individuals familiar with the home. Evaluating these differing views requires careful consideration of confirmed facts, physical evidence, and recognized limitations in forensic analysis at the time the evidence was first collected. The case has influenced discussions regarding investigative procedures, particularly in situations involving a homicide within a residence. Lessons have been drawn about crime scene preservation, early evidence handling, and coordination between law enforcement agencies. It reinforced the importance of immediate scene control, limiting access, and systematic evidence collection. The event also contributed to the evolution of forensic science and public understanding. As DNA testing advanced, the public gained exposure to new methods of analysis and began to recognize the potential for science to reshape long-standing cases. The case is often referenced in discussions about the role of forensic evidence in supporting or refuting investigative theories. Media studies frequently cite the case when examining the relationship between journalism, public speculation, and criminal investigations. It is used as an example of the impact of intense media scrutiny and the need for responsible reporting. Educational programs and professional training in journalism, law enforcement, and criminology sometimes reference the case to illustrate the consequences of early investigative missteps in high-profile media environments. The legacy of the case extends beyond the unsolved nature of the crime. It continues to serve as a reminder of the importance of compassion in discussions of crimes involving children. True crime media increasingly emphasizes ethical considerations when presenting such stories, acknowledging the need to balance public interest with respect for those affected. More than 2 decades after the incident, the case remains an unresolved chapter in criminal investigation history. It represents a combination of complex factors, a tragic event within a family home, an investigation challenged by early procedural difficulties, and a level of public attention that few cases experience. The homicide of a child under such circumstances continues to evoke reflection on safety, trust, and the impact of violence within a community. Investigators, analysts, and members of the public maintain an interest in the possibility that advancements in forensic science or new information could bring clarity in the future. Families affected by loss often seek answers and closure, and unresolved cases carry a particular weight due to the absence of legal resolution. For many, the hope remains that truth may still emerge, bringing accountability and understanding. The case endures in public memory, not only for its unanswered questions, but also for the enduring reminder of the importance of careful investigative practices, responsible reporting, and empathy for victims and their families. As time continues forward, the legacy of this case highlights the need to learn from the past while continuing to seek truth.